Okay, everybody, we're back here. Thank you for the sloppy production change, but this is the way we do it here. Welcome again, everyone, to the 6th anniversary of Suffragettes. It's really, last year I made far too many remarks, so I'm not going to make very many tonight, partially because I left my reading glasses at home, but it's the sign of old age. So, as I said, Helena Capps and I founded Suffragettes 6 years ago. So we're very proud of how far this has come. Just to give you guys a few stats, we do this every Monday night. I'm not aware. We've had about 250 women play the show in 6 years. We've had I think 16 go on to get record deals and 40-something go on to get publishing deals. So we just really, our goal is to give as many women opportunities as possible, give them a place to shine, and hopefully the industry will listen enough to take care of the rest. So that's why we do this. Our slogan is "Let the Girls Play," and that's what we do here every single Monday night. So we've been featured on PBS NewsHour, NPR, and Elle Magazine, USA Today, and a bunch of others. So we're very proud of what this little show has been able to accomplish in 6 years. So in celebration, annually, we want to celebrate a songwriter who really inspired a lot of our women with her successes and the different things she has done in the world. So I've invited these two awesome women up here. I'll introduce first Beverly Keel. Beverly is the Dean of NTSU's College of Media and Entertainment, so you may refer to her from now on as Madam Dean. That's the only way she will have it. She's an award-winning journalist whose work has appeared in People, Parade, and more. She's co-founder of Change the Conversation, which has become very influential in the fight for gender equality in country music. Forbes recently included her on their list of 40 women to watch over 40, which are women who are disrupting the industries they're in and society in general. So she's a major disruptor. She's a good friend and a good human being. Beverly Keel, everybody.
You notice I have my laptop because I needed technology to hold all of her success in one place. So when we think of talented females, you're at the top of the list. And she has so much success, I won't be able to get to all of it tonight, but we'll try to get the highlights and a few of your favorite songs. So first of all, let me give a little bit of an introduction, and some of the songs will unfold as the conversation progresses. Laura Veltz is so far this year Billboard's #1 country songwriter. She wrote Old Soul for the High Women, White Trash for Miranda Lambert, To a T for Ryan Hurd, One Way for Dirk Bentley, We Went to the Beach by Little Big Town, and Drunk Last Night for the Eli Young Band. So far, Maren Morris has recorded 9 of her songs. Others who have recorded her songs include Reba McEntire, Carly Pearce, Jake Owen, Brothers Osborne, Maddie and Tay, Cassidy Cope, and Miss Shore, who you saw tonight. So welcome, we're glad you're here. Thank you. So tell me about growing up with your family in Astoria, Queens, New York. Was that a musical family?
Yeah, everyone was talented. However, we didn't grow up in Astoria. We lived there before I moved here. We moved around quite a bit. My parents are kind of unusual folk. But yeah, I lived a lot of places as a child.
So tell me about, you're in Astoria, Queens, New York. You decided to move here at age 29 after being encouraged by Marky Sanders and Kai Fleming. How did you reach that decision?
Wow. I feel like the beginning of the conversation was with Kai, who is this decorated songwriter. I didn't even know songwriting was a thing until I met her. And
did you know she was a woman?
Oh yeah.
You saw the liner? Because a lot of people didn't know.
I knew her before I knew she was a songwriter. She happened to be in our sort of orbit as a family, and I just fell in love with her and wanted to understand her job at a much earlier age. I met her when I was like 19, and I was so fascinated by the fact that a person would write songs. I didn't know that was even a thing. And then at the end, I was in a band with my family and my sister and my brother, and at some point I really just realized I didn't want to do that. I never really wanted to do that, but I really loved writing the songs, and I immediately called Kai and just said, what do I do? I don't know, I want your job, you know? And she said, well, if you want to try co-writing, you could do this job in Nashville. Nashville's a co-writing town, but you have to like co-writing, which I had never really done before. And so I took a couple of trips to Nashville, and she, you know, was so supportive. She let me write with some of her writers, and the first write I had was with a guy named Skip Black. And he was this country guy. I don't think I even really met anyone who legitimately wore a cowboy hat until I wrote with him. I was like, that's a real thing. Okay. I just didn't know that was a real thing. I thought it was kind of a costume until I met him. I was like, oh my God, people literally do this. And he was so kind, and in 2 hours we wrote a song, and I got in my car and just cried. It was like the most vulnerable thing I had ever done, and I was like, I have to do this. I love this.
So at 18 you were in a band, writing some songs. If you were 18 now and moving to Nashville, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh man, take it easy. I don't know, like, don't be in a rush. You know, try to enjoy the pizza for dinner and shitty Toyota Corolla days, because they're good days, and you know, enjoy it and not try to get there so fast.
Now, you're not the only songwriter in the family. Your sister Allison is a songwriter.
Yeah.
Tell me about her.
She rules in every way, basically. She's my best friend. She rules. She moved here a little after me, and she's killing it right now. It's so fun to watch. She is just slaying. She wrote "Pray for You," that Matt Stella song, her first #1 song, which is so exciting. And she wrote this song called "By and By," which is by Ross Ellis, and it was #1. You know what I'm talking about, girl. And it was #1 on the highway over the winter break. And I don't know, I just think she's going to continue to slay. She rules.
But you've never written together.
We used to write in our band, or like in the beginning, and it's like, I don't want to say like post-traumatic stress, but maybe like we were in a band and we just were forced to kind of work with each other. And I think both of us, in a mature way, were like, you need to do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing, and we're gonna support each other from a distance. But I do think now, it's like time has gone by, I like desperately want to write songs with her. She rules.
Well, we've got to get to Maren Morris,
Right on.
who's recorded 9 of your songs, including, recorded 9 of your songs, including her first #1, "I Could Use a Love Song." Tell me how that song happened.
Oh, it's such a great day. I've told this story so many times. Stop me if you've heard it, just kidding, I'm gonna have to say it. But I was on my way to the right, and I got pulled over, and it wasn't for anything neat. It was just like expired tags, which is totally lame and boring. But I was running like 30 minutes late, and at this point I was a really huge Maren fan. We were becoming friends, but I was more like, I just loved writing with her. And I was so embarrassed that I was so late. It was like a half an hour, 45 minutes or so. And I popped in, and I was like, oh, shitty day. How are we gonna recover this day? And apparently Maren had a crappy morning. Jimmy Robbins, who we wrote the song with, had a crappy morning. And then we just went and drank at like 11:30 a.m., which is, you know, whatever, ill-advised. Oh, thank you. Right, ladies. But we drank, we were like 2 or 3 drinks in, and Jimmy, who's like, you know, he'll get back to business, he was like, well, what are you missing from your record? And she said, I could use a love song. And I was like, you know, like getting all that, and I'm writing it down, and on the way back from the right, we just started singing into the air, and the chorus was done before we even got back to the studio. We were just walking back to his studio, and it was magical. And her vocal on the demo is so bananas. The cut is incredible, but she was like, you know, drinking and compromised, and yet she still slayed so hard, and it was amazing to watch. It was amazing.
So talk about your musical partnership with Maren. What makes it work? What does it feel like when it's clicking?
Man, she is like, she's a gift to my career only because we both have the same instincts as writers. And she's a little bit of this and I'm a little bit of that, but I think the goal is the same most of the time, and the songs never take longer than 2 or 3 hours to finish. It's so easy every single time, and those are hard to find. Like, a lot of songwriting is kind of just like, you know, going for it and doing the work, but I'm writing with her this week, and I know it's gonna be easy. She's like 1,000 months pregnant, but it's still gonna be easy, I'm sure of it, and I feel like easy is a really good sign with
Maybe I could
songwriting.
use an epidural.
Heard that, lady. Yeah.
Tell me about how the song Rich came about.
We wrote it, me and Maren wrote it with a girl named Jessie Jo Dillon, who is a genius. She wrote 10,000 Hours for Dan and Shay and Break Up in the End, which is one of the best songs of forever. And Jessie came in with that idea, and I think we both thought it was gonna be a little bit more of a, you know, if I had $1 for every time we were thinking it was gonna be a little more serious, a little more love songy, and then, or sad love song-y, and then it just turned into this absurd bop, and then all of us were just throwing in every ridiculous thing to make each other laugh, and Big Ass Pile of Dimes was definitely like a moment where we were like, this is absurd, it's never gonna get recorded, and then it ended up being a big hit for her, so it was really cool.
Another big hit, The Bones, which is the second single off the new album, went #1 country and is in the top 5 Hot AC and rising. So tell me about The Bones.
Oh, that was a surprising one. It's still surprising us. We're like, really? Still going? Okay, cool. I mean, it's amazing when a song kind of crosses over. It's not something you can plan. I don't think you can. Maybe you can. Maybe there are people smarter than me who can plan it. But when it just happens, you're like, oh my God, it's having a whole nother life. And man, that one was such a good day. We wrote it with Jimmy, who we wrote I Could Use a Love Song with. And I wrote in that title, The Bones. I think we were looking for a house to, this point, my husband and I were looking for a house, and I think I've got like a whole slew, my publisher can confirm this, I have like a whole slew of like house songs. Like, as we were, it just kind of was weaving itself into my writing, just looking for a house, and people kept saying, oh, well, the bones are good, the bones are good, the bones are good. And I was like, that could be a love song. I tend to just go like, can I add love and stir? Is this gonna, is it possible to create a song out of whatever someone just said, or whatever I heard in my head, or something I put together, just like add love and see if it works, kind of thing.
Well, I have to ask you about a little song you wrote called Speechless. Oh yes, you wrote that one too. It's a 4-week #1, crossover hit, platinum selling hit, propelled Dan and Shay into the stratosphere. Tell me about how that song happened.
I mean, I feel like that's one I just have to credit like my team and my co-writers. My team for setting up rights like that, and then my co-writers for just being such geniuses. We were all like, Dan and Shay are very particular about songs. Dan particularly is extremely like specific about what he wants to achieve in a day. Maren is not that way. It's like, let's write something for fun. It's all fun. And Dan is like, this is what we need. It's very serious a little bit. And he was like, wedding song of the century, like, let's do this. And so we were looking for the right idea. And I think on that day, something happened with my daughter. I think she had a fever, and I had to go pick her up and bring her to my mother-in-law's house or somewhere, and then come back to the right. So I had to be like, I have to go, give me 30 minutes, I'll be right back. And but when I left, they came up with, Speechless. So that was what I had to come home to work on a song. I was like, okay, love it, off we went. It was so fun.
Well, now you're trying a different kind of writing, book writing, with your financial advisor. Tell us about what the book's about and why you wanted to write it.
This is a neat event. I come from a very confusing financial childhood, and I'm one of these like overachieving, terrified to buy like a pair of shoes type of a gal. And so my financial advisor is this man who, saw my future, so to speak, and said, hey, like let's hold hands on this. And he really helped me kind of go like, it's gonna be okay. We don't have to be stressed about this. And he had this idea to write a book for people like me who come to town and certainly have no idea what this job is going to do for their lives. And he was like, I just want to, pick your brain and interview for my book. It was his book. He was going to write a financial book. And I was like, okay. And we got together, and I just started like spilling my guts about all the things I wanted to share with new writers on how to navigate the mind part of this job, like the waiting and the weird, like you put all of your life and soul and heart into this song, and it took you 4 hours and it's only 3 minutes long, and it gets cut 4 years later. It's very heady. And so he was like, oh my God, I think you're supposed to write this book with me. And I said, oh my God, I think I'm supposed to write this book with you. So we've been working on it for over a year, and I'm hoping it comes out soonish, but we're getting to the end where it's like a soup to nuts, how to arrive in town and just not lose your shit, and how to like set yourself up financially so you don't like buy a bass boat too early, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, like just trying to navigate both the financial and the brain side of this job, because they're both trippy as hell. They're just trippy.
Looking back, how did you get good enough to do this for a living?
I feel like I was 28 when I moved here, so it's a little different. I don't think there's a girl that's playing tonight that's under the age of 20 or over the age of 28. So these girls have a way head start. But I came here with like a fully developed brain and a little already enough tragedy in my 20s to go like, okay, this is gonna be fun. Like, fuck this, I'm gonna have fun no matter what. And that's right. And so I feel like, what was the question?
How and when did you know you were good enough to make a living doing it?
Thank you. Upon arrival, I knew I was going to write shit for a long time. I knew it because it was very clear, listening to the radio, that I knew what I wanted to do. I had an idea, but I did not know how to actually do it. And I was pretty clear on that. And then I was writing with this band, Eden's Edge. Who knows what Eden's Edge? Right. And we wrote like the best we could, but we were all really new at it. And then there was this one pivotal day, and I didn't write this song with them. I was actually in LA, very random, wrote a song with a guy I met once, and I don't even know now. Just wrote a random song.
That's called a one right stand.
That's right. I'm here all week. So, we wrote a song called Liar that Eden's Edge ended up recording, but it was the first song where I was like, I did something right. This is a good song. And it's so random, but like, I feel like a couple of days later, I met the man who ended up being my publisher to this day. And I was just like, I wrote something legitimately good. And I was like, listen to it. I mean, it was strange. It was very like natural beginnings of a publisher-writer relationship. But that song was, I knew I was like, okay, I have something worth something now. But I mean, I kind of in the back of my mind knew that everything was pretty garbagey until that. So that was like 4 years in.
So you meet Michael Eleanor, who's backstage, who's been your publisher your entire career. Tell me about, how would you describe that relationship, and what has he meant to your career?
I mean, everything. He's a lot of the reason why I want to write a book, because he gave me such excellent advice about calming down in the beginning and not being too eager to get things, fixed and ready to go. I want to hit tomorrow. Like all of those instincts we all have, like I'm so good, I deserve it, and then it's like, well, really you wrote a third of a great song. That's good, you're on your way, but you didn't write a whole great song. Like those types of little, like he would just kind of pepper my career with like, it's cool, we're almost there, but like you're good. And just recently, right on time, he's like, we're here, like we did it, and he's just been such a great guide and a great friend to me and my family and just everything. I can't begin to go on about my team. My whole team is incredible. I'm so lucky. It's so rare, so I'm really lucky.
And what did that feel like when you realized you're here, I've succeeded? How did you process that?
It was really weird. I feel like Mike called me the morning of, because we were so busy, you know, once you get like, when multiple things are going at one time, you literally can just change the channel and have a happy day. Like, oh, they didn't cut that, well, guess what, they did. And you know, like everything is like, you just switch channels all day long. Oh, they're about to release that, oh neat, oh, wow. And you're just kind of switching channels. And you get in a mode where that's your day. You write a song, and then all day you're like, what else is happening, what's happening, da, da, da. And he called me one morning and he was just like, this was recently, he's like, I need you to like, take in what's happening right now, because you could change channels like all day, but this is the moment you're probably gonna look back on and be like, that was the flow, that was a flow zone. Like, you know, lots of stuff was just popping at the same time, and yeah, it was just bizarre timing, really crazy. He's just good at knowing I need to take things in, which I don't do often.
So you had the last Lady Antebellum single, which went #1. You have the new Lady A single, That's What I'm Leaving For. So you're a mom of 3, including twins. How did they inspire this song?
I was in my kitchen with my husband, and this is a very strange little known fact, but songwriters have this weird third career. It's like you write songs, and then you gotta like be a part of your career, and then out of nowhere, if you have a hit or two, someone's like, hey, Crayola wants you to play for 3 people at the Opry, and we'll pay you this obscene amount of money for an hour of your time. Those are called corporate gigs. Mental note songwriters, it's a comment. It's pretty cool. You get a hit or two, and all of a sudden you have this like totally different resource, which is cool. And once they start, you're like, hell yeah, I'll do that. And then I started just saying yes way too often. And my husband and I were kind of going like, what's happening? Like, you're giving away all of your time. I was like, I know. And my kids were just turning 5. I mean, we're in the best zone of parenting. They are so much fun. And this was probably the last one I said yes to. It was a while ago, but I was in the kitchen and we were talking about corporate gigs, and I was like, well, I better know what I'm leaving for. It better be good. It better be good. Like, it has to be so high now, which is a snotty thing to say, but it really was that. I was like, what is it worth to leave my family at this point? What is it worth to fly to Houston for a day? I don't know, there's probably no amount of money now that it's worth, you know? Anyway, that's how the title fell out, and then I brought it to Sam Ellis and Micah Premnoth, who are wonderful, and I just feel like we wrote down something that isn't fresh and new, and is really an achievement, because writing family songs is like, they were kind of like popular in the 90s, and it was when I personally was like introduced to songwriting, like the sippy cup of milk zone, you know what I mean? And I was like, this is awesome. And then it just went away. Like this acknowledgement that you have a family and that there's something more important than, you know, ripped jeans and whatever. And it like, when I moved here, that zone was gone. And we didn't bother even writing those songs because they weren't getting recorded. And then you could just tell there's this like sniff of like, oh my God, people are gonna talk about family again. And Lady A, I mean, they're such an inspiration, but them.
We all 3 have kids.
Yeah,
and
kids.
Hillary Scott has twins
Twins
and
as
another
well.
child.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have that conversation
Oh,
with her
yeah.
about the song? Tell me about that.
Hillary is so sweet. She is a real tender heart, and her connection to that song, all 3 of them really have really given me some serious love about that song, just because we're all living it. Like, and a lot of us are. It's not just music people. It's people who leave after maternity leave and go back to work and have to leave their kids. That's hard. That's really hard. People with military families and where you have to leave your kids for astronomical amounts of time in comparison, and it's hard, you know, especially when they're in such a great, you know, kid zone, you know, and yeah, they all just were so loving about writing something down that they all really could relate to, and that made me feel so good. And then the fact that it's translating to, that I didn't know it would be a single, that was such a shocker. I was like, there's so many great songs on that record, and the fact that it's a single and that it gets to be heard by other people who have different scenarios that are similar to that, just really rewarding for me.
Well, I was at the #1 party for What If I Never Get Over You, and it was a really special moment. It was Lady Antebellum's first #1 on Big Machine Label Group. It was their first #1 in 7 years. It was the first #1 Dave Haywood's son had seen, because he's about 4 or 5, he's not old enough. So tell me about how that song happened and what happened that #1 for Lady A meant to you.
I wrote that song with Brian Hurd, who is a close friend, great writer, great artist, Sam Ellis and John Green, who are all legitimately my friends. They've all met my kids, they've all been to my house, and I feel like that's like the coolest thing. Having a hit with people where you're like, oh my God, like, because you never know what songs are gonna ring the bell, and you never know what kind of community you'll be with when that happens, who you'll be up on the podium with, So it was really surreal. I mean, especially Ryan, we write so many songs together, and actually, especially all of them. I can't really say that. All 3 of them are just really special to me, and to have written a song that we all got to win on the same day, that's just so special.
Well, I'm going to ask one last question, and then I'm going to excuse myself so you can have the stage by yourself. So tell me about the new Maren Morris single that you co-wrote, To Hell and Back. I want to point out all female songwriters on this song.
Right.
So tell me about how that song happened.
Well, we wrote it a long time ago. We wrote it at the end of the Hero cycle, Hero being her first record, and Jessie Jo and I, who wrote Rich with her as well, those are the 3 women on this song, and we were, I don't know, we were really hoping it would make the first record, and possibly a little like, it didn't make the record, and we thought, I guess that one just had so many great songs, I totally get it, and it didn't make the cut. It's so cool to me that it stuck around long enough to make the second one, and it was always earmarked as one of my favorites, and I just love the song so much.
And I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to ask you to end on playing that song. Thanks, everybody.
It's going to take a second. I have this problem. I know the song, but if it's not sitting here, I suddenly won't know the song. The song is called To Hell and Back, and I've never told this story, but the first lyrics are, smoke was coming off my jacket and you didn't seem to mind. And I wrote that because I hate that I'm admitting this, and I have since quit, but I smoked quite a bit. And I hated that I smoked, and every time I would come home, I would be so embarrassed. I'd run in and take a shower and just be like, oh, I can't believe I smoked. It was like smoke when I drink kind of stuff where you're just like, whoops, I smoked again, dang. And but my husband always thought it was amusing. He was always like, you're not a smoker, get over it. You smoke here and there, no big deal. But I just personally hated it, and I brought this to the girls I was writing with that day. It's so adorable to me that it ended up in the song like directly. But it's more a motif of just someone who's just been through a lot of shit and made it through. So one more second. This can't fall asleep. If it does, we're all in trouble. Hold on a second. I love the thing. It's like auto lock, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, never. Never's the way to roll today. Okay. Okay. Shit, here we go.
Smoke was coming off my jacket, and you didn't seem to mind. I left a long trail of ashes, and you said I like your style. Now heartbreaking a competition, but I took it in a landslide. The skeletons I wanted to bury, you lacked out in the light. You didn't save me, you didn't think I needed saving. You didn't change me,
was fantastic and inspiring. And on that note, what we do, so we, like I said, every year we give an award to someone that has really inspired all of the women who play song suffragettes, and we call it, well, a little bit of fun fact. So the suffrage movement that gave women the right to vote, their symbol was the yellow rose. So that's why we always have yellow roses on the stage. So we call this the Song Suffragette Yellow Rose of Inspiration Award, and this year it goes to Miss Laura Veltz. The funny fact is, we dropped it and broke it earlier tonight. So it looks like you could shank somebody with it. There you go. So we're gonna get her a new one, but for photo op purposes, we're gonna take one right now. And everybody give a warm round of applause for Laura Veltz.